We be live.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Secular Jihadists for Muslim Enlightenment. My name is Ali Rizvi, and with me is the great Armin Navabi. Armin, how are you today?
Good. Guys, make sure you like the stream right now as you're watching. Like it right now before you think about it, before you do anything else. It really helps us grow. So like the channel. Thank you.
Take a second and just hit that like button, and then also smash the subscribe button, and all of that stuff. Yeah, we're getting better at this. This is our
No,
mid-month Q&A. Yeah, we're not. This is our mid-month Q&A where you get to ask us anything that YouTube will allow us to talk about without giving us a strike. So, and this is also a public live stream. So, if you're a patron, first of all the patrons, I see music guys here, so that's great. All you patrons are here, and that's wonderful all the time. But in this one, if you guys have friends and everybody want to join in, message them right now so they can come in. They can also ask questions if you think this is something they might be interested in. But so that's what we're doing. The mid-month Q&A.
So we're gonna answer the questions and live chat. But before we do that, we have to answer questions from patrons.
That's
so
correct.
if you're not a patron, you could become a patron, and that means your questions get priority. One, it also means that if you can't be here live with us, you could send your questions ahead of time, and we will read your questions and answer them here live. So there's two benefits to being a patron. So link in the description. If you want to become a patron, you could be a patron with as little as $1 a month. All right, so we actually have 6 patron questions today. We're gonna go through them, and then as soon as we're done, we have 2 of them are by Music Guy, 1 of them is from D, 2 of them are from Bobo, and then we just got another one by Fawad. So let's do the first one from Music Guy. Let me put it in the chat here so we can highlight it. Okay, this is the first one from Music Guy.
All right, Music Guy is saying Saudi Arabia has just launched its first women's football league now. And as you know, Armin, Halloween was recently celebrated with men and women dressing up in KSA, in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Are things changing fast, or is this chump change in comparison?
Well, so things.
Go ahead.
No, things are changing fast. This is very extreme, especially when it came to the Halloween. Like this is like the type of celebration that is beyond just like westernizing, right? Like when you have concerts, when you have like celebrities coming, when you have parties, you could be like, okay, this is just freedom, right? But when it comes to Halloween, the fundamentalists, this hit them hard, because Halloween is like witchcraft and wizardry and paganism. And for them, this was happening on Saudi Arabia. This is the Prophet's land, right? This is the heart of Islam, and now you're doing paganic rituals and witchcraft and wizardry, and as like this is Muhammad was like promised that Saudi Arabia would not be, non-Muslims would not step on this land, right? And we have gone from letting Americans not only step on Saudi Arabia, but also having military bases there, right? Ever since for a long time now, ever since the Saudis took over Arabia. But then they're like, okay, maybe we're gonna read the hadith that Muhammad said that to make it so as if it was just Mecca, not all of Arabia. But now we have gotten as far as just doing stuff like Halloween. This is like absolute shirk. Like that, you can't. This is unbelievable that next to the Holy Land you have such pagan festivals, right? So they are really you could see I follow Islamic YouTube channels and content creators. They are really butthurt about this. This is insane. And this is women's football league. Again, that's also very out. If you can see, even people are holding their music festivals with women holding Saudi Arabia's flag, and you could see their legs. You could see they have no hijab, even more revealing clothing than before, and dancing and singing. Okay, so things are moving fast, but I think this is visually things are moving fast in Saudi Arabia. The foundations is also moving fast, right? Because What people are not saying is the fact that Mohammed bin Salman came out and basically targeted 95% of existing hadith out there, right? This is not an attack on Wahhabism. This is an attack on the base of all four Islamic Sunni schools of thought, right? To go from saying that a hadith, an Islamic hadith, doesn't, if it's sahih, it's not good enough for us to take it seriously. It has to be mutawatir for them to take it seriously. Like undermining everything that the Islamic schools of Saud are based from. Like this is like they've gone from anti-Wahhabi. The House of Saud has gone from anti-Wahhabi to anti everything that is fundamentally considered Sunni Islam. It's unbelievable that this we haven't had this fundamental like this attack at the foundations of what it would consider Islamic schools of thought for hundreds of years. We like coming from such a high position of not like a religious authority but political authority.
Yeah.
However, as I always say, the way you treat this is not to celebrate bin Salman. Bin Salman is a monster, okay? And as much as these people, we can celebrate, like for example, the women who are gonna benefit from this. We can celebrate the freedom that people will enjoy in Saudi Arabia and be happy for the people who get to enjoy them without giving credit to the Saudis or to bin Salman, right? These two are not mutually exclusive. If like women get to like if people are enjoying more freedom in Saudi Arabia, or women get to drive, or women get to have more, ways to like do sports and everything, and people get to enjoy life more than before, we could say that we're happy for them, and it's good that they get to do this. But remember that the House of Saud, and especially bin Salman, is doing all of this, among many reasons. One of the many reasons is being to cover all the human rights violations that they're committing, which that is happening more than before. Like the House of Saud is now under bin Salman's leadership is more responsible for more misery, for more human rights violation, and more killing of innocents than ever before. So again, these are good things, but do not give credit, do not celebrate the Sauds, do not celebrate Mohammed bin Salman.
Yeah, you have to also understand why it's happening. So I'll tell you, like when I grew up there were no movie theaters. There was virtually like pretty much no mixing of men and women. If it was prayer time and there were women walking outside, they'd take them and whisk them off to the Batawa stations, the religious police stations. There was a lot of it was completely different. Like you weren't allowed to wear red during Valentine's Day, the whole Halloween thing. It was all of these things were just very, very strictly clamped down upon. So a lot of these things are the reason they're changing. And one thing is, we've talked here many times about how the oil, for dependence on Saudi oil, is actually a national security issue. It's not just an environmental issue. And what's happened now is that because the U.S. especially has become largely oil independent. I mean, it's not dependent on Saudi oil anymore. Saudis just they're a one-trick pony. I mean, didn't really have any other contribution to the world. They had nothing that they could really offer the world oil. So now that there's less of a need for it, they have to open it up. They're trying to attract foreign investors and trying to say we're opening up culturally. They never had to do that before. Now they have to do it. But again, as Armin's saying, I completely agree with it, that this is a sort of a superficial phenotypic kind of appearance thing. Like the optics look a lot better. And I'm sure it's sincere because, the royal family, that they've always been very much more liberal than the religious police that they use to clamp down on the people. But there's still a lot of terrible stuff that's happening. There's still a lot of power grabs. The power grab thing is worse than ever before. Right. So it's just we're going to wait and see. We'll see how it goes.
They're desperate, by the way, because they're extremely desperate. They understand that the oil money is going to dry up at some point, and they will, if they don't change the image of Saudi Arabia from being like, so guys, the reason this shouldn't work, okay? Again, I'm happy for the people who are enjoying all this freedom, right? But what's happening is that Mohammed bin Salman realizes that they need to open the door to Saudi Arabia and get investment and tourism and non-religious reasons for why people would bet on Saudi Arabia, right? So they're trying to change the image, and they're doing this out of desperation because they know that based on all the predictions, all the modules, they will run out of oil money at some point, right? And they can't have this entire country just being held up with oil money, right? And they're really scared because they know, right, in Saudi Arabia there are a whole bunch of people that would want to do a lot of evil things to the House of Saud if they ever get the upper hand, right? I don't think like they there has been ever since the House of Saud taken over, there have been multiple assassination attempts, and the motivation for that has never been stronger than now. Okay. However, this should not work. Like, this is like, for people to look at this and be like, okay, this is a good thing. Things in Saudi Arabia is moving in the right direction. They don't see that this is the things that are progressing are only things that are very attractive to media, social media, and traditional media. Women wearing more revealing clothes, people being able to party, Halloween being its first time in Saudi Arabia, people going to the theater for the first time, to the movie theater for the first time in Saudi Arabia. This is sexy news. This is interesting. But, oh my God, they didn't have movie theaters before. Now they do it. That's interesting. That grabs attention. What doesn't grab the attention is the hundreds of thousands of people who are starving in Yemen because of Mohammed bin Salman's decision. All the political dissidents in Saudi Arabia that are now being attacked, tortured, and killed, imprisoned, much more than before in Saudi Arabia. The fact that the image of Saudi Arabia is improving shows how people who consume media don't actually pay attention to things that matter the most. Again, I'm not trying to dismiss how important it is for women to be able to drive or stuff like that. But again, the people who made that happen are not rotting in jail, right? Like, and they're not being free. Like, they did this after they tortured these women who are still with rape, and they continue to pressure the people who are actually responsible for putting the pressure on Saudi Arabia. Like, and this is, you cannot sell the shift. Saudi Arabia is, on average, okay, is moving in the wrong direction. Things are getting worse in Saudi Arabia, not better. Okay. And music, I saw in the live chat, you're saying this. You're saying that I think Mohammed bin Salman's exposure to all his relatives, Western styles, made him want to have the same thing. This is not a taste thing, music. This is not because they are like, oh, I like it for the country to become more Westernized. This is this is a survival thing. They need
survival
to do this.
Thing. Economic
this
survival.
This is out of desperation, not just economic, like their lives, right? Like, this is a must. They have no other choice. This is not out of this is not because of a tasting, and this is not out of the goodness of their heart. Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, Armin. Yeah, no, I want to say one more thing about this. His exposure, MBS is not. It's not just his exposure to his relatives' lifestyles. That was his lifestyle too, and they've always been able to maintain it. Like, the royal family has always had this lifestyle, so it's nothing new to them. So it's not necessary for him to wander for everybody else. But anyway, I think let's. That was the first question. So let's just.
All right. Second patron question is also by Music Guy. Do you want to read this one?
Colombia has recently foiled a Hezbollah plot to assassinate Israeli and American diplomats, businessmen, and intelligence agents in their country. Is there any significance that Colombia was selected, or does Hezbollah pick any location in desperation? If so, this is common. I actually don't know about this, Armin. Do you know about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think Colombia, it's not an accident that Colombia was selected. Maybe it's because, I don't know if you guys know, but Venezuela's current regime and Iran have very close ties, right? And it's easier for Iran to be able to do operations like this in South America because of the close ties that it has with Venezuela. So Venezuela, for example, Venezuela recently was shown that they were just handing out Venezuelan passports to Hezbollah operatives, right? So that is like makes their movement around that region much more easier, right? Also, Iran does have a history of operations in South America. Radical T activities in in South America. I'm not using the T word, just Islamic radicalism. I hope you know what that means. It goes back all the way to 1994, was it, Ali? The bombing in Argentina by Hezbollah, remember, of the Jewish region?
That's true.
Yeah. So it like goes back to the early 90s when Iran was active there in South America, right? And also, this is another thing is interesting is that what I think is that Iran and its proxies are desperate to react to do some damage to Israelis, and apparently it doesn't really matter if the Israelis are part of the government or not. Like, they're going after any Israeli they can get their hands on outside of Israel's borders, because they are desperate to show strength, right? Because Israel has managed to take out a lot of Iranian assets, both people, like somebody like to assassinate Fakhrizadeh, and I don't know, hack the gas stations all over Iran, hack nuclear facilities, do so much damage. And Iran's regime looks so pathetically weak because they haven't been able to show any strong response. And they look like they're just there, and Israel could come and just do damage without any much that strong of a reaction from Iran. So Iran, for its own internal consumption, at least, it needs to show that it has some strength. So they're trying to go out and find Israelis around in different places, and like they look for places where maybe the security is not as strong as within Israel, so that they could take out Israelis as a way to show, like, look, we are able to defend ourselves. Please don't lose the loyal people who are loyal to us. Please don't lose faith in the Islamic Republic of Iran. Just I don't know how many. I think it was just a few weeks ago or a month ago. I don't know. Time doesn't. I don't know. I don't remember how long ago. It was quite recently where they tried to do the same. I don't know if you saw this, Ali, but they tried to take out somebody in Cyprus, in Cyprus, right? Yeah. So there was another Israeli that Hezbollah was trying to take out in. Iranian proxies were trying to take out in Cyprus, and that failed as well. This failed. The one in Colombia failed. The one in Cyprus failed, and it's amazing that they failed. I know the reason why I know it was amazing to fail is because these are really hard to track. It's really hard to stop these things before they happen. Usually they happen, and then you do investigation of who did it, right? But the fact that they were stopped, the Cyprus one we know is because Mossad told the Cyprus government that this is about to happen. You better stop it, right? I suspect, I don't know if I'm right, because this just came out. Like, this is like what the situation in Colombia is, just like really recent news. So I suspect that the one in Colombia was also with the help of Mossad, because I don't think I don't think you would be able to stop something like this. This is really hard to stop. I don't think like Colombia has enough strong of an intelligence agency to be able to stop. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, we'll see. I think like maybe Mossad also helped Colombia's government to stop this before it happened. And if that is true, it really shows you how on top of everything Mossad is. Like the fact crazy. The fact that they're seeing all of this right before it happens. I think Hezbollah must be scared. Like, how are they figuring this out? They must be seeing everything that we're doing before it happens. Which is, by the way, congratulations to Mossad for being so effective. However, I do want to take back my request to join the Mossad, given that apparently Iranian proxies and Hezbollah are taking out everybody that is associated with Mossad outside of Israel. As much as I would love to join the Mossad, I would like to, like, maybe not. No, so yeah. This is getting really dangerous, by the way. Imagine like being an Israeli outside of Israel's border and knowing that you could be a target, especially if you're a businessman, or especially if you have anything to do with the Israel's government. Like, that is scary stuff.
So I think we have two more questions from Bulbul, and then we'll get to the public questions.
No, we have another question from D, and 2 questions from Bulbul, and a question from D, and
let's
another
do
question
these really
from
quick
Bulbul.
so we can get to the public ones too.
Okay, hey, no, but we're gonna spend enough time for our patron questions, okay? Like, we celebrate. We want to welcome more patrons. Ali, one day we might have so many patron questions that we're not even going to get to the live chat questions, okay? Our patrons we have to celebrate our patrons, okay? So that's okay. Right. Okay, so this one was by D. By the way, don't worry, guys. People in the live chat, I'm gonna stay as much as I can to answer the live chat questions as well. Okay, so don't worry about that. So this one question is by D, another patron question.
Yes, the D saying Reuters reported the U.S. removed Nigeria from the list of religious freedom concerns ahead of the upcoming visit of Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Back in July, an $875 million arms sale was put on hold due to human rights abuses. Any idea why the sudden appeasement?
Why the sudden appeasement? I don't know why the sudden appeasement is for. I have to look into that, but I do think that it's a shame because Nigeria, like, I mean, as somebody that thinking about Mubarak Bala and the fact that he's still in prison in Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think like, I don't know, is this has something to do? Why do you think they're doing this? I have to look into this. I don't know.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know either.
Due to human rights abuses, any idea why the sudden appeasement? D, I will look into this and I will respond. I will send you my thoughts on it on Patreon.
Yeah,
But
I'm gonna
I
look
don't
this up
know.
too.
I know Blinken has been going around Africa and meeting with people. I think like okay. Here's one thing. I'm guessing right now. Okay, I'm guessing U.S. is trying to be more involved in Africa. Okay, there's recently I've seen more activity. There's more buzz going around with like, I don't know, United States getting involved in like helping with the conflict in Ethiopia, and they're they're throwing out like content out there, so just saying that United States should be involved there just to see what the reaction is going to be by people before they decide whether Biden's administration want to increase, because like after like all this all of the promise that all of the signaling that United States want to be less and less involved in the Middle East, would now being more involved in Africa, would that be perceived well or not well by the public? I think that they'd like playing with just going in like slowly to just see if they're going to get a backlash from the from American citizens from that or not. I think they're very eager to be more involved in Africa. I saw like, for example, recently they were suggesting that like, oh, remember Rwanda, remember how we weren't involved in Rwanda, and everybody was like blaming us for not getting involved fast enough, so we should do this, we should also maybe consider getting involved with Ethiopia before it gets to the Rwanda like situation, because or like, as so it seems like they're testing the waters to get more involved. And there are other countries in Africa where they're like reaching out, like trying to see. So maybe again, I have to look more into this. Maybe one reason is to get a better reaction from Nigeria, and like Nigeria is, I think Nigeria is the most important country in Africa when it comes to population, the size of the economy, technology, the influence they have over the politics of the rest of Africa. So I think maybe the U.S. foreign policy wanting to build a better relation, be on Nigeria's good side to open the door to them in the region. Maybe that's the reason, right? However, it's sad to see if that is the case, because Nigeria hasn't shown that they are open for religious freedom. Like maybe I don't know, maybe there has been some recent, I mean, as a secularist humanist, we're looking at Mubarak and we're saying like he's still in jail for just like criticizing Muhammad, right? Or without even being sentenced. Like he hasn't even been sentenced, he hasn't had a trial, he's just been held in prison with, after more than a year, he's only been able to see his wife and son for twice, Ali. Okay, like with no charges. Ali, and again, Mubarak Bala is in prison for things that is against the constitution of Nigeria itself, right?
Yeah.
So this is like Nigeria's own laws doesn't allow him being in prison with no charges. With no charges, he's just being held there, just for saying something that is not even. It wasn't even that insulting about Prophet Muhammad. Okay, and they're like, such a country is now being removed from the list of religious freedom concerns for political reasons.
Yeah,
and again, this is coming from Biden administration that said that human rights is going to be the most important thing for them. Like, it's going to be, they claim that this is going to be front and center above everything else for them. So now they're using, again, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious about the Nigeria thing specifically. Like, I know about the Ethiopia situation and everything else, but I'm curious to see why it's what their interest is in with Nigeria. But yeah, we'll look that up for sure. Thanks for the question,
D. Make sure you ask this again next week when I had more chance to next month actually. When I had more chance to look into it. Yeah.
Actually, end of the month. We're gonna do an end of the month one.
End of the month. Yeah. Oh yes, we're gonna do an end of the month. All right. There's a question from, I think it's from Bobo. Is that?
Yeah,
from
it is from
Bobo?
Bobo.
Yes. This is a question from Bobo.
Yeah, this is an interesting question. So everybody knows recently Malala Yousafzai got married. Bobo asks, Taslima Nasrin. So this just for context, people don't know, Taslima Nasrin is the Bangladeshi physician who actually criticized the Quran and Prophet. And she was one of the first in the 90s accused of blasphemy, and people had put a bounty on her head, and then she had to escape, leave Bangladesh. So Taslima Nasrin recently tweeted that she was disappointed that Malala married a Pakistani guy, and she should have married a handsome, progressive Englishman instead. What are your thoughts on this? So, Armin, you know about this thing?
Yeah, here's the tweet.
The tweet is this. So Taslima Nasrin said, quite shocked to learn Malala married a Pakistani guy. She is only 24. I thought she went to Oxford University for study. She would fall in love with a handsome, progressive Englishman at Oxford.
Unbelievable.
Marrying not before the age of 30. So there's another tweet that she did.
How racist do you have to be to make a tweet like that? What is that?
Did you see
Read
this?
it.
Okay, I'll read it. So there's another tweet where Taslima Nasrin wrote the following, and I'm quoting exactly. Who tried to kill her? Paki. Why can't she live in her land? Paki. Where she lives? White land. Who treated her? White. Who saved her life? White. Who gave her asylum? White. Who co-wrote book? White. Who helped creating fund? White. Who gave her the Nobel? White. She could marry a white. Yuck. So this woman's clearly off the rails. She's gone.
Okay, this is absolute, this is not like systemic racism or like hidden racism or like, I don't know, like unconscious. I don't know what these other new forms of racism are. I'm not saying they don't exist, but they're the newer definitions. This is like traditional, explicit, individual racism. Like this is like, it doesn't get more direct than this. Like I could safely say that based on these tweets, Taslima Nasrin is a white supremacist. Like she is objectively an actual, not like supporting white supremacy without knowing it. I don't know, maybe like hinting at it. Like, no, it doesn't get more direct than this. This is an absolute white supremacism. Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
Wait, let me actually look at this. This is like, you look at this, like you look at people are being happy and having a relationship and being in love with each other, and you're like, why is she with a Paki? Also, here's another interesting thing. This is okay.
Here's the interesting thing. Actually, this is Taslima.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, this is her boyfriend.
That's her husband or boyfriend or whatever.
Boyfriend. This was. I mean, are they still boyfriend? I don't know, but that was her boyfriend. Wait, I don't know. This guy is like, what is she? Is he a Paki or Indian?
It's probably Bangladeshi. It looks like he's
Bangladeshi. So is he gonna be offended? Okay, wait. I shouldn't say. Is Paki like an insult?
It is. Yeah. So it's Pakistani.
Okay, sorry.
She used it. You're quoting her, so it's fine.
Yeah, so no. I didn't know that was an insult or not, but I heard some people saying it's an insult. So this, I don't know, like, is this man gonna stay with her? Like, why would you be like? Is she upset that her own boyfriend is not like a white person? Like, would you like how? If you like, I don't understand. Like, you should. Oh my god, disgusting.
Yeah, handsome, progressive Englishman. So the thing is, I know, like, I have a lot of this guy Usser who married Malala Yousafzai. Like, we have mutual friends, and he's actually he's a really good, progressive, decent man. I mean, he's not a. I don't even know why I'm explaining this. I mean, there's no point. But anyway, yeah, it's absolutely insane. And you're right. Like, she's just we got to takfir her out of this movement.
No, like honestly, like I don't even know how to react to this. Like, handsome progressive Englishman. Here's the thing, Taslima Nasrin. Any actual progressive Englishman or any other progressive man or woman would call you out as an absolute racist that you are. Like, how could you think like, oh, you need a progressive? No progressive man or woman would want to be associated with you after what you said. Like, how could you like think like somebody being white, right, or an Englishman would be superior and think yourself to be progressive as well? First, so you're not a progressive, Taslima Nasrin. One. Second of all, what happened to supporting feminism, right? Like, how dare you decide who somebody else, another woman should be with? Like, how dare you like decide for them? Aren't you in favor of like women being able to make decisions of who they want to be with?
Yeah,
Like,
and this is a girl who was, when she was 14, she was shot in the head by the Taliban because she wanted to go to school, and she kept going with it, and she kept working for women's education, standing up for it, and she made the effort global, and then she ended up winning the Nobel Prize, very deservedly so. I mean, this is something that I have a feeling she probably knows what she's doing. She's only 24. She's only 24. Like, there's most 24-year-olds haven't done what she has.
no,
Anyway.
look at Afif. We're not gonna go. Like, Afif is saying,
Wait,
go
wait,
easy
hold on. I
on
got to
Taslima.
read this out. Afif Khaja is saying, go easy on Taslima. Everybody has their faults. I think Taslima is projecting her likes on Malala and failing to understand why Malala chose to get married at a young age. Why go
What
easy?
are
Like,
you-
you can't go easy on this kind of crap. Like, no.
What are you talking about? This is direct racism. This is beyond, like, I think Taslima is projecting her likes on Malala. What are you failing to understand why Malala chose to get married at a young age? What does this got to do with failing to realize why she's marrying at a young age? She's talking about the superiority of the white race. This is far beyond. Like, whether or not you agree if somebody should get married young or old. She's saying that she should choose who she is based on their ethnicity, based on their race. This is direct racism. I'm not going to go easy on a white supremacist. Why would I go easy on a white supremacist? This is direct white supremacism. Like,
Yeah.
how could you see this as anything else? Like, oh, she has just disagreement on what age. No, I might have disagreements on what's the proper age to get married. This is not that.
Yeah, she's jaded, bitter. I don't know what's wrong with her. She's a nut job, this woman. Anyway,
it's as if like somebody getting married at, like, I don't know, 18. I'm like being like, oh yeah, you're getting married too young, and to a, I don't know, to a dirty this race person as well. I mean, like, what? How dare you talk about this race of person, like this race of people, in this like shockingly racist way? Like, what? It's just that I don't understand the age that she's getting married at. Forget the age. You just said a dirty, like, this person. Like, you obviously you're a racist. Like, do you not see the highlight of the problem that we're having with, like, what? How you guys are like, if you like her, you can, okay, Afif, can you not see how the fact that you like Taslima is blinding you from the main point that is the problem here? Like, you're trying to distract us to the age of Malala, because you're trying to, like, not highlight the fact that she's being an absolute racist here. Like, look at what you're doing, Afif. Don't make excuses for racist.
I have to tell, when she was there at the remember the Debali in Amsterdam, when we went there at Mariam Namazi's conference, she was there, and I met her, and I told Taslima Nasrin, because I knew of her story when I was in the 90s and everything, and I told her, I was like, you've always been a hero of mine. I told Taslima Nasrin this, so clearly I had a lot of respect for her too. But I'm telling you right now, I mean, she's an absolute nut job. I mean, this just came out so transparently. You can't. There are things that you say that can be mistakes, or you can misspeak, but this is just it's just clear cut. Yeah. This is kind of a deal breaker. This is insane.
And YouTube, in case we get a strike for the things that we're saying, YouTube, this is not our views. We're criticizing somebody with these views. We're just highlighting the fact that somebody has racist views, and we're criticizing it. If the algorithm all of a sudden gives us a strike, please, like, when we're doing the review process, please note that all we were doing was criticizing somebody else with bad views. So thank you, Susanna, for reminding us to mention this. Anyways, let's go to the next question by Bobo. Another question by Bobo. There we go. This is another patron question by Bobo. Okay. Thank you, Bobo, for being a patron.
She said, a previous guest on your podcast, Shazia Hobbs, author of The Gory's Daughter, got banned from Twitter earlier this year for allegedly anti-Semitic posts, and her book contract was canceled too. What? It's continuing. It says, what?
There we go. I'm trying
What's
to
your
bring the
opinion?
article.
Yeah, what's your opinion on this? Excessive cancel culture or anti-Semitism? Yeah, like this thing of book contracts getting canceled. Yeah, and Shazia was on our thing, and I think she also kind of did end up going. I haven't really followed along with what happened. I know she was banned like years ago as well, so I guess she got back on, and then she got banned again. But yeah, this is publishers decide who they're going to publish and who they're not going to publish. I mean, they're private companies, and that's what they do. I mean, she's free to self-publish. She's free to publish elsewhere. She's free to start her own blog. There's a lot of things that she can do. I mean, enough people have done it. So I wouldn't say this is yes, it is cancel culture. I don't know. I don't think that mainstream publishers, if they decide that they don't want to carry a certain author for certain views, that is within their right. The problem is, yeah, go ahead, Armin.
I don't think so here's the thing. I don't like using the word cancel culture anymore, because cancel culture by itself means that it was a unjustified cancellation, right? So like, what is, like, given that different people have different definition for what makes something cancel culture, or what makes something a justified, like, again, so I don't want to talk about people having the right, because cancel culture is not about legal issues, right? It's not about government being involved or about the law involved, right? So cancel culture is about, like, outside of the legal sphere, whether people decide to completely deplatform somebody and not have them, and basically boycott them, reduce their voice and stuff like that, right? And given that where the line of justified deplatforming ends and cancel culture begins, given that different people have different definitions for that, I just rather talk about whether it was justified to cancel someone's, like, book deal, or disinvite them from a university or a podcast, whether it was let's just talk about, instead of calling it cancel culture or not cancel culture, I would rather say whether it's just justified or not justified. In this case, I don't know if it was justified, because this article doesn't say
what she wrote. What did she actually write?
It doesn't have the tweet there. It doesn't hide the tweet. It just says there was a tweet. Oh my god, what are these ads? It says there was something like, okay, so like the tweet, she allegedly shared a content featuring, I don't know if we could say this on YouTube, the swastika.
It's fine. You can say that.
You said it. Okay, fine. The swastika. But again, like, was it in the tweet, like, celebrating it or condemning it? Like, I don't know. It's not giving me the tweet, so I don't know if I could judge it or not. I do.
Yeah, I don't know enough about it.
I don't know enough about it. Yeah, so I don't know what the tweet was. I don't know what she said. So I can't judge it. I do understand that as a book publisher, even if somebody hasn't said something racist, if there's too much heat around something, you might think like this is bad for your branding, and maybe the person that is doing the canceling would not be the book publisher, it might be the community that is making it costly for the book publisher to do the book with you. But again, it's hard to see based on this article what she said. Like, is the article is just saying that she was accused of being anti-Semitic and racist things, but it's not showing us what were those racist things.
I do want to point out that there is a big problem in this headline. It says anti-racism novelist probed by police over anti-Semitic social media posts. This is clearly a European headline. This is not something, police doesn't get involved if you just have anti these kinds of things, like speech policing, even if it's hate speech policing, is really more of a European thing. It's not an American thing necessarily.
But she allegedly attacked a member. Okay, so a member of an. What do you mean by attack? Physically attack, or just like? But she allegedly attacked a member of an anti-Semitism awareness group, including a picture showing. Yeah, again, this could see. I have seen like look at this phrase. She allegedly attacked a member of anti-Semitism awareness group, including a picture showing a
salute. That salute we all know about.
A salute and the word "raise your hand if you're tired of the alleged victim." So. Okay, that actually, if this is being described accurately, then that's seems like it's some disgusting behavior. Again, but the reason why I'm always skeptical is because I've seen things that were meant to be anti-racist actually being described in the way, like in media, described in a way that if you just read it, it could have actually seemed the most racist thing imaginable. But again, if this is being described accurately, then this does seem problematic. But again, I don't know. I have seen this could be as, like, for example, when we just reviewed Taslima's tweet, we don't have to worry about somebody taking it out of context. We're just like, yeah, that tweet was extremely racist. Okay.
Yeah.
But here, media can put a spin on things in ways that, that we again, so we just say we don't know. We can't judge. We can't judge unless we see the tweets. All right. So, because she's banned on Twitter, we can't see the tweet, so we can't judge.
Yeah.
So we don't know. All right. Let's go to the next last Patreon question by Fawad.
Saying, okay.
Hold up. Let me bring it up 1 second. There we go. Ali?
Previous guest. Oh, no. What are your thoughts on the University of Austin? I think the people involved with the whole thing exaggerate the issues they talk about. Even if the issues were as bad as they say, I don't think that making your own university is a solution to it, because at best they will end up educating a couple of thousand students, and there'll be far more students being indoctrinated in other universities. So I think what universities, I think a better solution would be to make an online learning platform like Coursera, so then they could reach a much larger audience. Yeah, this is, I think he's talking about Barry Weiss's new initiative. And she's starting a new university, the University of Austin in Austin, Texas, because they're tired of the way that the universities are kind of all the safe spaces and the wokeness that's happening in universities. So they want a pursuit of the truth, and they want to be able to teach everything openly. So this is, I don't think it's everybody can start a university if they want to start a university. I think they totally should. I'm happy about it. Steven Pinker is saying here in a tweet, by mutual and amicable agreement, I'm stepping off the board of advisors of U of Austin. Wishing them well. I'm concentrating on Rationality, the book, and Think with Pinker, the BBC radio and podcast series, and won't be speaking on this further. So he's actually gotten off of it, Steven Pinker. He was on the board of advisors. But, I mean, despite that, I really don't. I mean, whoever wants to get involved when they can, they don't have to. But I don't think it's like, what's wrong with having a university? I mean, I'm pretty sure they're not going to teach critical race theory as open as they are. I doubt they'll have that.
Okay, I'm actually kind of worried about this whole, like, people have been using this, I'm an advocate of free speech, but now every time somebody says, like, we need to create a free speech platform or university, and I'm always like, is this a far right place? I don't like, is it?
Yeah, it's
like, happens, yeah. Like, I'm just like, are we creating, like, is this going to be a safe space for far right people that get offended when people criticize them? Is it because I feel like sometimes now people are using, advocating for free speech has become a dog whistle recently for, like, we just want to have our far right views, and we don't like to be criticized.
Yeah, like Richard Spencer, I mean, his rallies were all free speech rallies too, right? Look, but still, Armin, like, I think that if you're starting a university, you're doing it legitimately. You don't like the way things are being taught, and you're starting your own thing, that's fine. If it takes off, it takes off. It doesn't take off, it doesn't take off. I mean, that's I don't see the big, like, this whole idea that it should. Yeah.
No, Ali, when people are not saying that you shouldn't start universities. Obviously, you can if you want. People are saying if it's a good idea.
Yeah,
like,
he's saying,
like, if I ask you, like, should I open a bakery? I'm not asking you if I have the right to open a bakery, or, like, you could be like, well, you can open a bakery if you want. If it fails, it fails. If it succeeds. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, do you think it's a good idea? You can, you know what I mean? You can be like, well, in this climate right now, there's a lockdowns. Maybe this is not the best time to open a bakery. If you say it's not a good time to open a bakery, you're not telling me that I don't have a right to open a bakery. The question is if this is a good idea. And my opinion is that universities should go the way of the dodo. Okay, universities are obsolete unless they're technical. But I think, like, government funding is keeping universities alive. I think the cost of education is abnormal, way higher than it should be, given that the extremely smaller cost to education. If all of this was online, if all we had the courses online, if we could get degrees online, I think other than, like, medicine or engineering or some other technical stuff, I think you could just have community college for mostly hands-on technical stuff, and then for some other academic technical stuff you could have universities like medicine or engineering.
No, I understand.
For everything else, Ali, this is important. This is a segue for me to an important thing. For everything else, I think you could get the skills like programming, philosophy, history, literature. The universities need to be shut down. You could do this a lot more efficiently with courses online, and that's a perfect plug for Wondrium. Okay, guys, go check out the link to Wondrium. I take courses on Wondrium right now. I'm taking a course called the Middle East in the 20th Century. They just came out with a recent course, The Triumph of Christianity. Bart Ehrman teaches this. Okay, so there's a lot of courses on. Oh, look, you can learn how to play the ukulele. But look at this course on the Triumph of Christianity. If you click on it, you can see like these are university professors in a classroom setting. Actually, more beautiful than a classroom setting, teaching you the courses, and it actually comes with its own course notes. Look at this. It comes with a beautiful guidebook that you could, like, if you want, you don't even have to take notes. Like, this is better than the books. Like, there's so many courses on history, philosophy, religion, so many, any topic that you could think of. Wondrium has a course for you, and there's an affiliate link for this in the description. So check out the description for the affiliate link. Atheist Republic makes a cut if you go, and you could try it for 2 weeks for free. You could take a course that you like. And if you don't like it, there's Ali. There's a lot of courses on science, quantum physics, evolution, anything you want. Okay.
No,
forget university.
Yeah, that's great. But I'm saying, like, I guess the question is, it's sort of like saying, well, there are all of these religious schools or religious like churches and mosques. They don't have to pay taxes. So should the same thing apply to Scientology institutes? And the answer is yes, they shouldn't have to pay taxes either if the rest of them aren't. But overall, yes, everybody should be paying taxes. That shouldn't be a thing. So I think this is the thing. We do have a lot of universities around, and I agree with you. I mean, you can get amazing, like, entire MIT courses from just YouTube, even, much less Wondrium.
This is better than YouTube. This is university. YouTube, you get streamers. Yeah, on YouTube you get like streamers giving you the opinions. This is university. This is like scholars and university.
Yeah, the videos are beautiful, and I get that. Yeah. But what I'm saying is,
guys, if you're checking Wondrium, make sure you use the affiliate link. We make a cut, and it doesn't cost you anything, and we make a cut if you use the affiliate link. It gives you a 2-week free trial.
You got that. I'm just saying that I just don't think. I think that even if it's a right-wing university, even like whatever it is, I mean, the new university you're started, like, is it? Of course, they have the legal right to do it. That's not the point. But should they do it? Yes, absolutely, they should. Everybody else opens universities for all kinds of things. So
I think they should. If you want to open a university, they should do an online one, like Wondrium.
That's not the question, Armin. Armin, the question is
no. My answer is no. They shouldn't. No, my answer is no.
He's not saying our university is a good idea overall. He's saying is a University of Austin, that specific thing, because of the reasons that they're citing that they don't have freedom. Is that a good idea to do? And I think it is a good idea.
My answer is no, it's not a good idea. My answer is like, no, like, you have to work on less costly ways of educating people so that it becomes more accessible to more people. Universities should go extinct unless specific other than for specific cases. This is the best way to bring more. Yeah,
100%. And I also think that that's also a good idea, but those two different questions. But anyway, let's go on.
All right, so let's go to the live chat questions. Let's go all the way to the top. Okay, Mir Jalal. Mir Jalal this is the first live chat question.
This is for you. Mir Jalal is asking, Armin, why don't you try keeping a beard or at least a goatee?
When it comes to my looks, I go with the thing that has the least maintenance, the least time consuming look possible, right? Everything that I do when it comes to how I dress, what I do with my hair, what I do with my beard, what I do with everything is what is the most time efficient way of maintaining my looks. And a beard requires maintenance, so that's why I don't have a beard.
Unless you have a beard like me.
True.
I guess you don't.
Also, it's itchy. All right, Next question.
Mir Jalal is saying, both of you guys disagree on Kyle Rittenhouse. Are we going to see you debating it soon? Well, I mean, we could kind of like quickly debate it now. I don't know if we're going to do a whole episode on it, but because it's not super relevant. But I have to say something though. Armin, last time you said that you'd seen the videos, and so I agree with you now that before I thought that it was, that this guy, I'll say what I think. I think based on the videos and the way that the evidence was presented in court, at least what I've seen of it, it seems like there's more than enough reasonable doubt, right, to say that he was acting in self-defense. There are other questions about, if obviously there's a guy who's walking around with an AR-15. Did the people who interacted with him Were they treating him as an active shooter and maybe trying to do that, and then he acted in self-defense? The context is really, really tough to tell, but the prosecution did a terrible job. His defense did a very, very good job in the trial. And if he technically should be called not guilty. I mean, that's what, based on the trial.
I mean, technically he's not guilty. I think it's very.
Yeah,
I mean, based on the main thing, like you could get him for other things, but the main thing that people wanting to get him on for
premeditated murder, he's not guilty. Yeah. I don't think he's guilty of that. And
so you change your Mali, I just want to I just hope that I am as mature and not defensive as you are when it comes to being open to I haven't changed my mind recently and I'm about things recently, so that worries me. So now you have motivated me to make sure that you
don't have to unless you think that there's compelling. This is what we talk about. If there's compelling evidence, and now you look at the trial and you look at it, and I will caveat it by saying I was like, yes, I think that there's compelling evidence that this guy was not acting in a premeditated murderous way. I think he went there. I doubt he would have gone to defend the Capitol in the January 6th thing, but he did. Like when it comes to this,
but that was not what the outrage was about.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like the things that he's asking. If you're talking about vigilante justice, I think he's an idiot. I do think that he's a 17-year-old kid. He's a kid.
He was 17. How could he not be an idiot?
Yeah, obviously.
I was a bigger idiot when I was 17.
I wasn't. I was actually exactly the same as I am now, which probably means I'm an idiot now. But anyway, the point is that this guy. Yeah. So I don't think that we totally disagree on it, but I do think that it is, if you are in a situation like that and you are seeing that there's a guy walking around an AR-15, then the way that you'd interact with him, if you think he's an active shooter, that may be a factor that hasn't really been considered, and you can't really consider it right now because we don't know what those victims were thinking and how they were approaching him. But that is also something to consider. But aside from that, yeah, I think he's not guilty. I don't think he's guilty of premeditated murder at all.
No, yeah. Okay, so yeah, if he's guilty of being an idiot, if I had a 17-year-old boy that decided to show up with a gun at a riot, I would probably slap him.
Yeah.
Like if you want to say he's guilty of those things, like sure. But that was not what the outrage was about. I think a lot of the leftist media completely dropped the gun on completely calling this guy like a white supremacist, for somebody that just went there just looking for people to shoot. It was the outrage was not at all justified. They could have just waited.
It is, yeah. I mean, those are assumptions. But it's very well possible that he is a white supremacist. It's very possible that he
but not based on what you're saying. But
based on the evidence,
it's possible.
No.
It's also possible that I'm a white supremacist. Obviously things are possible, but
it's much less likely. Actually, I think I've always thought you might be. You never know.
No, but okay. So, but here's the thing that I want to add to all of this. Okay, this besides all the legal issues about Kyle Rittenhouse and everything around that, this I want to add that this has to show to people how important the police system is, right? Because whoever you think was at fault, people died. Okay, this is not how you the American culture of just people showing up with guns and either bringing justice or trying to defend the community. This is why you need a stronger police system, because these are people who train. If this was the police instead of somebody like Kyle, people wouldn't have died. Let's say the situation is that it wasn't anyone's fault. It wasn't Kyle Rittenhouse's fault or those 3 people who charged at him. It wasn't their fault either. Right? Let's say hypothetically, right? But let's say Kyle was he was doing a self-defense. People were charging at him, and if you were in that position, people were coming at you, and they were you saw that there's a chance that these people could seriously harm you. It would have been the most reasonable thing to do was you to defend yourself the way he did. But also, let's say it's also reasonable for the people who attacked him, not reasonable, but let's say it was an honest mistake that they thought that this is an active shooter and they wanted to be reduce the harm as well. Let's say it was just a miscommunication. Everybody was doing everybody was somewhat not justified, but like everybody was, you could see why they would do what they did. Like they thought that this is an active shooter, and maybe they were trying. And yeah, I'm trying to be charitable to every side. Like I'm not saying this is what happened, but even the other side, you could see like they misread the situation and they were trying to reduce harm as well. Okay, the thing is that people died. People that shouldn't have died. Okay, this is why people who are trained, people who bring safety to a riot situation or a protest situation, have to be the police. They have to be people who know how to de-escalate things. They have to be people who are marked as the police. They have logos and symbols and their uniform that we are the police. This is our job. If we have a gun, we're not an active shooter. You don't need to charge at us with a skateboard, because we are here to actually de-escalate. We are actually here. This is why you need to fund the police to get extra training to become less militarized, but also more trained in de-escalating situations. Okay, this is why you don't let somebody, a 17-year-old with a gun, to, as much as in that situation he was at right, I think he was the right thing to do, he was defending himself. But if you step backward, you don't get a 17-year-old with a machine with giant gun. I don't know my gun, so I don't know what I'm saying.
AR-15
was AR-15.
Yeah, I think there are other things that come to it, and this is obviously it's complex because there is an aspect of some police officers, like pulling. A lot of these armed confrontations actually happen with traffic stops. They're not even like violent confrontations. So when that kind of thing happens, that makes people who are minority groups like more anxious, and then there's a few cops who do that, and then when they become more anxious, then the good police officers, they back off because they don't want to get caught on camera doing things, and so they don't get involved. And when that happens, then you have these vigilantes come in with their guns. I mean, the whole thing is like this is a vicious cycle of crap. And yeah, I agree. I mean, if you ask most, like when they do surveys on black people, like most black people say they want more police in their neighborhoods. It is also true that a lot of the police people, they are overworked. I mean, they're doing the jobs of social workers, which they shouldn't be doing. Policemen should not be doing, traffic stops and, writing tickets for people. I mean, those are also things that they can have other resources come in and take care of that. So that's why, these slogans like defund the police and everything are so misleading and they're so harmful. So in any case, I think we're right.
Instead of defunding the police, transfer the funds from part of from the militarization of the police to extra training for the police, to de-escalation tactic from the police, to people
counseling
who are trained,
services, social workers, people who work with drug substance abuse,
but
those
also
kinds of experts. The police shouldn't be doing all of that. That's way above.
Well, I mean, if those people are trained as part of the police, like I don't think like people should be like defund the police and have social workers. I think people who are social workers and are trained should join the police. And also, even if you are like a psychologist who know how to deal with people who have mental issues or how to deal with drugs and stuff, you still should be accompanied with a armed police officer. You shouldn't be going into these places.
Absolutely. There should be there should be a role for that. It's like in the army. When the army, you have army medics, you have army counselors, you've got all kinds of people in the army that work on all kinds of things that are not necessarily combat. And you could have, just like you have that for the military, you could have the same kind of thing for the police force. I mean, it's just,
exactly.
I think it's common sense. So
all right,
let's move
next
on.
question.
TX09M, cool name, is saying, will you interview, it sounds like one of Elon Musk's kids, will you interview Apostate Imam again? I would love to. So he did reach out to me, so I'd love to have him on, and we probably will at some point if all goes well.
Yes, me too.
Mia is saying, for the first time, I'm on time for your live stream. Hey, thank you, Mia. The stream seems to have occurred in mid-November instead of the end. Any new change? Because I've not noticed. We do actually sometimes do our Q&As, and recently we did do them in the middle of the month and then at the end of the month, because these Q&A things seem to be really popular and seem to be really interesting, and we end up covering a lot of things that we may not get to cover during our regular episodes. So especially when there's a lot going on, I think it's a lot of fun doing these mid Q&As. And you let us know if you think that this is cool, if you like this. It seems like you have a positive opinion of this. So if you can join us, Mia, in the middle of the month, and this works for you, then I think we could do more of these.
Okay, so we're gonna try to only highlight questions, not comments. But this one, because it was kind of like I can't not highlight this. Jack Knife saying, "Armin, I recently learned what happened to your mother. I'm super late. Okay, but but when I heard that, I was crying in the inside. I'm so sorry what you went through, and I hope you're doing well now." Yes, of course, that was a long time ago. But Jack, I just have to highlight this because saying. Thank you for your kind words. It just didn't feel right not to highlight
Yeah.
that. Next one.
So Mia is also saying Colombia is a basket case grappling with its own problems.
This is a comment.
Yeah, it's a comment.
This is a comment. We have to highlight, coach. Sorry. There we go.
Afif is saying what to do about YouTube shadow banning comments. YouTube makes users think their comments are posted, then when they log out, the comments disappear. Is that real? Do you know about that?
Yeah, it's kind of like trying to make it mean comments. You are often get like shadow banned or something like that if they're very aggressive. Trying to, because I think it was an attempt, because a lot of creators get so many negative comments that some of them are becoming suicidal, some of them are quitting, some of them are burning out, and I think YouTube maybe be trying to make the YouTube environment a little bit more friendly to its creator. I mean, here's the thing: I don't think YouTube has a lot access to a lot of data that we don't have. Usually when they make decisions like this, it's probably based on something that they know is going to be better for them, make the environment better for growth for their creators. So it's really easy for us to sit down back here and just judge things without knowing what information they have. Like recently they wanted to like remove the dislike button, and people are losing their minds asking them not to remove the dislike button. But I mean, they don't come up with these decisions lightly. Like they microanalyze the crap out of these things before they decide to add a feature or remove a feature. So I don't think like we're in much of a, like, we could decide whether we like it or we don't like it. Like, for example, I don't like the shadow banning, right? Like, but what I like and what I don't like, it doesn't, like, we could, like, if something becomes too cost, like, it's good for YouTube, but it's very costly for us, like as creators or or as consumers of the platform, then the solution is to complain about it so much that it tips the scale so that it becomes costly for YouTube as well. Like, but when we try to complain about something so much that it makes it costly for YouTube, it doesn't mean that it was always a bad idea. Before we made it, it might have been originally a good idea for YouTube, but then we made it costly for them to continue with it, and now it becomes a bad idea. So if YouTube changed its opinion about something, it doesn't mean that they made the wrong decision. It means that we changed the calculation for them. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay, so let's go to the next question. There's a lot. You have to skip over a lot to get to the next question. I think there's a lot of comments.
Comments.
I think it's Mir Jalal at 11:43 p.m. I think that's the next one that I saw. I guess it would be, yeah.
Yeah, hold on. 43. Okay, Mir Jalal is a blue one. There we go.
Mir Jalal is saying, would you concede to the term Islamophobia to fight a larger cause of anti-Muslim bigotry as one single force against bigotry rather than divided? I don't know exactly what you mean by this, but
yeah,
the answer is
I know. I know what it means. Like, for example, like I've actually noticed, I actually changed my mind on this one. Because there are certain times that people mention that this is Islamophobic, right? And you look at what they're highlighting, and it is a problem. Like, what they're highlighting is a problem. It's a case of anti-Muslim bigotry. Like, it's not somebody criticizing Islam or insulting Islam. It's an actual form of bigotry that is happening, right?
Yeah,
so they're mislabeling it. Like, they're calling it Islamophobia, and we would have preferred to call it anti-Muslim bigotry. However, like, I feel like maybe it's not always the best idea to like you look at what is being highlighted, and it's actually a major human rights violation, right? And they're trying to highlight a major human rights violation, and all of a sudden, instead of me joining them highlighting the human rights violation, instead of focusing on that, if I end up focusing on, like, well, you're using the wrong terminology. I mean, yeah, they are, but is that really the thing that I want to highlight when they're correctly pointing out a major human rights violation? Like, would it not, like, am I distracting? Am I taking away attention from the human rights violation that is being highlighted to correct someone's language? Is that the best use of my efforts in
Yeah.
that situation, right?
I
But
think, yeah, I'm on the same page as you on this. So, like, I think that when people say, and I'll tell you, it's a very specific example, Amir, where this applied to me recently, is when when Axios interviewed Imran Khan, the Prime Minister of Pakistan. They asked him about, you keep on complaining about Islamophobia in Europe and Islamophobia by the French, but what about the Uyghur genocide that's happening that China is doing to Muslims? So in that case, I'm not going to say, well, it's actually anti-Muslim bigotry, and that's what the term we should be using, not Islamophobia. But I think it actually helps to create that symmetry and say, okay, you're concerned about Islamophobia in France, but what about the massive Islamophobia that China is committing, right? So that works. Typically, I just use the term anti-Muslim bigotry when I respond to it without necessarily calling it out. Like, but I agree with Armin. Like, it depends really on the context of the thing. If you have a conversation about what the correct term is, then it's appropriate to call out the problem with the term. But if you are actually talking about this in terms of a huge human rights abuse and it's clearly something that's anti-Muslim, then it's probably more effective to use a term that the other person is using in order to get the point across.
No, I wouldn't use the term. I would never use the term Islamophobia. I would not use that term myself. But I'm just saying maybe it's not worth it to just like call them out. That okay? So here's the thing. First of all,
yeah, call them out right there. Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me actually make a few points. I do think that I don't think like if somebody points out to anti-Muslim bigotry in France, I don't think like you should be like, what about China, right? I don't think that's a good thing to do. There are many things in France that are completely justified that people call Islamophobia, but they're justified. But I mean, France also does have actual cases of anti-Muslim bigotry, like that they do need to be highlighted without like bringing up China every time, right? However, so the counter argument to what I just said, like people, like let's say somebody is actually pointing out a legit case, like for example in France, some Muslims were stabbed, right, just for being Muslim. And people were screaming at racist, like actual racist, like not just bigoted, like anti-Arab racist thing when they were doing that. And so these are and they were attacking them because like wearing a hijab or something like that. So that needs to be highlighted. Let's say somebody was highlighting that case that happened in France and they were calling it Islamophobic. Okay, so and let's say I wanted to also highlight it. But I didn't push back on the fact that this is not Islamophobia. This is anti-Muslim bigotry. Islamophobia is meaningless term, right? Let's say somebody could be like, Armin, if you don't push back on Islamophobia, if you don't say that this is a bad term because you're highlighting something more important, the problem with that is that over the long term, the word Islamophobia, because it's about Islam, if you don't tackle that, will be used as a way to make it seem like attacking Islam is, because attacking Islam is now going to be mixed in the same bag as attacking Muslims individually, right? So if you don't correct that mistake, you're actually helping with additional anti-Muslim bigotry, because a lot of Muslims who want to defend Islam will keep mixing our criticism of Islam with anti-Muslim bigotry, and they will completely dilute and take away attention from Muslims who do need protection from personal individual attacks, so much so that it will be more difficult to defend Muslims, because people will think that every time you're defending Muslims, you're actually making apologetic arguments for Islam. So actually, it's within, some people would argue that it's in the best interest of Muslims themselves for you to correct that this is not Islamophobia, let's call it anti-Muslim bigotry.
Right.
Okay?
And it's like,
so my solution to that, go on, Ali.
No, I was saying like those videos that we made with Seth Andrews. I mean, this is exactly, if you guys could go watch that, that's exactly what I was saying, is that the word Islamophobia actually exploits the pain of actual victims of anti-Muslim bigots and uses that to stifle criticism of Islam. But what I was saying, Armin, was I was talking about a specific example of that Axios interview of Imran Khan, when they actually told him, they said, well, what's your problem? He complained about the Islamophobia in France and everything. And then they asked him specifically, he's like, China's doing this genocide, and why are you concerned about France? And you're not saying anything. They were pointing out his hypocrisy. So for that specific example,
I got it. But I was, but let me finish.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But I'm not talking about whataboutery in every situation. No.
Okay. Sounds good. what I was trying to get at, make I said all of that to make this point, is that I think my solution, what I come up with is that it is to just quickly tap on it, touch up on it, if somebody, but without making it the highlight, right? So this is my solution. If a legitimate case of anti-Muslim bigotry is happening, okay, and somebody's bringing attention to it, but they're calling it Islamophobia, what I would do if I wanted to join them to bring attention to that, I would mention that I use the term anti-Muslim bigotry without making that the subject of the discussion. Like really lightly tap on it and then move on to highlighting the case. So
yeah, or when you respond to it, you could just say it.
Yeah. So like say I have like a Muslim woman or that is trying to bring attention to the way Muslims are being treated in China, and she's like, this is this is the absolute case of discussing Islamophobia and stuff like that. So what I would do is like, I completely agree with her. This needs to bring attention to, more people need to be talking about it. These are the solution. This is how I think we should be pressuring China. These are, if I was like on a panel or something with them, everything she's, I would keep confirming the things that she's saying as deserving of attention. I would lightly say, I don't call it Islamophobia. I call it anti-Muslim bigotry. However, and then I will continue highlighting it and agreeing with it. So I will make sure that I touch on it. I will make sure that I mention it. I will make sure that I refer to it as anti-Muslim bigotry and not Islamophobia, but very lightly, without trying to distract from the main thing. So that's my solution. Yeah.
Okay.
We got a super chat from Secular Rarity. I'm not gonna scroll all the way down because I'm gonna lose my spot, but I'm just gonna read it. $10 super chat from Secular Rarity. Thank you so much for.
Thank you.
That's very generous. Secular Rarity saying, always appreciated what you do. Clap sign, clap emoji. Just so I'm asking a question: paper or plastic? Paper or plastic?
What the paper or plastic is a question?
Yeah, the question is paper or plastic. Which one do you prefer?
What's the context? Money?
There's no context. It's just paper or plastic.
Okay, that's funny. Plastic.
Plastic. I think we should move away from plastic for environmental reasons. No, actually, I don't know. Yeah, actually,
no.
That's
what I'm saying.
I don't know.
If you're talking about money, then plastic is going to save more energy. If you're talking about Kindles versus paper books, electronic readers, then yes, plastic. So that's what I was thinking. It's better.
Depends on the context.
Absolutely.
Depends on the context. Depends on what you're using it for.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, let's go do. Actually, now I scrolled away. It's here. I don't have to. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Secularity. All right. I think we could be okay here. Mir Jalal as usually has good.
Have you heard?
Last question.
Okay. Have you heard about Michael Schellenberger and his point on climate alarmism? Do you think the left is using climate change as a political tool rather than lead to concrete solutions? Complex question. Armin, you want to go first? Should I go first?
I mean, I don't understand climate alarmism. There's literally nothing else that could, other than AI. There's literally nothing else that could be this damaging to us as the human race than climate change, right? Like it's the second thing only to a potential AI takeover. Like how, like I think we're not being alarmist enough. Like I'm here to think between the two options of like, let's say like you. There's this much outrage, this much like alarmism is required for what the situation actually is when it comes to climate change. Okay, between us going over it and under it, I hope that we're exaggerating. Okay, like because it's impossible for us to get it exactly right. The alternative for us to be exaggerating it, the alternative is taking it less seriously than we should be, right? So between the two options of taking it more seriously than we should be and less seriously than we should be, I'm hoping, and I don't think we are, but I'm hoping that we do an overestimate, that we're taking it more seriously than we should be, because the consequences to us taking it less seriously than we should be is so dire that we have to go extra. I hope that we're going over. I hope that the reaction of mankind to climate change is much more than it even should be. I suspect that it's much under that it should be. But I hope like we overshoot rather than undershoot. Does that make sense, Ali?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
I think I agree with that. I think that the second question is also pretty interesting. The second question you're saying is alarmism. I agree with Armin 100%. I don't think that we can be alarmist enough about climate change. Second thing is, do you think the left is using climate change as a political tool rather than lead to concrete solutions? This is a problem on with especially U.S. politics, but everywhere. I mean, even Europe and everything, is that all of these issues are becoming partisan. So, when we talk about health initiatives with that big illnesses going around and whether we should get that prevention treatment in our arms for it, I did a pretty good job not mentioning anything, Armin. You got to give me credit. But anyway, for that, now that kind of thing, it's supposed to be woke. You're too woke if you go and you get that treatment to prevent, right? So it's just everything is being used as a political tool by everybody. And yes, the left, when it comes in and when they come in, they actually when the alarmism is unscientific, when it's unscientific and they say that this is what's going to happen in 5 years, it's going to happen in 10 years, and then people don't see those things taking place, right? And it's false, then that destroys the credibility. It dilutes your alarmism that you actually need. So I think that, yes, everybody uses all of these things as a political tool. Everybody uses all of these things to virtue signal. And that is something that is really, really unfortunate. This should not be climate change, healthcare, whether we should get those treatments in our arms or not. Like all of those things are just, these should not be partisan issues. These should be absolutely clear as day in terms of, what we need to do to get a situation under control.
I think like you can't say, do you think the left is using climate change as a political tool? Because the left is not one person. Okay. Mm-hmm. Given how big the left is, I don't even have to check. Of course, there's part of the left that is going to like, how many people are in the left? Do you think it would be impossible if there's nobody in the left that is trying to misuse climate change as a political goal that doesn't actually help with anything, right? There's it's a big camp. But the left is also full of people that are advocating for the right things, that are rightfully alarmed and have good solutions. And also the left also includes people that maybe are not alarmed, that they see this as a tool to become more relevant, and they're pushing for things that are populist but not helpful. So the left includes both of those kinds of people. It's impossible for it not to include both of those people, given how many people are part of the left.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. So now people are asking for recommendations of the month.
That's right. So we already did the recommendation for Wondrium. Armin, you did that last time too, and that's you gonna repeat that one more time?
Yeah. No, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do another course on Wondrium that I'm taking, and I'm gonna move to next. This is gonna be my recommendation.
Go for it. Do your recommendation. I'll do mine after.
All right. So last month, I told you guys that I'm gonna take this course on Wondrium. Again, guys, if you guys want to take Wondrium courses, link in the description. Use our affiliate link. So, but I'm gonna tell you what course I'm gonna take after I'm done with this one. I'm almost done with this one. So this course I'm taking is called The Middle East in the 20th Century. Is being taught by this professor, Emanom Gerion, right? I don't know. So from the University of London and Johns Hopkins University. He's a really good lecturer. He turns these like historical events, he starts them with the story, and then he gives you the fact, and he ends up with the story. Makes it so easy, easy to consume.
What's number 5 there? Number 5? I want to do that one. It says monarchies of the 20th century Middle East.
Yes, the history of the Muslim Brotherhood. Okay, so you can see you can see by these yellow bars that I've taken all of these. I'm right now on lecture number 17. The next lecture I'm taking is the Iran-Iraq War, right? So it goes all the way to the Arab Spring. It starts from World War I and the nationalism that started. It goes all the way to the history of the Middle East to the Arab Spring. Okay, so I'm almost done with this. I think I'm going to be done with this week. And the next,
have you done that one? Are democracy and Islam compatible? that looks interesting. I wonder what his take is.
No, not has. Actually, some of you are gonna get butthurt. Like he is kind of like a Islam apologist, right?
That's
but,
okay.
Yeah, that's okay. I've learned to like accept. He's like a university professor. Of course, he's an Islam apologist, right? But you have to go past the butthurt and actually learn the content. Okay,
so go past the butthurt.
You go past the butthurt and actually learn what these are. There are a lot of important facts here. Okay, So when he was talking about Sayyid Qutb and his like radicalism, and he keeps making excuses for why this is not Islamic. Okay, and I'm like, you haven't read. Okay, you know your history, you don't know your Islam, but it's okay. I still learn a lot of things from you. So once I'm done with this, I'm going to move to another course. This is the next course I'm taking on Wondrium, Capitalism versus Socialism, and this is being taught by another university professor, Edward Stewart. This is, oh my God, this guy is going to be so good. Okay, so you can see his credentials. You can see the guidebook that it comes with. This is 24 lectures. So, the reason why I'm taking this lecture next, Capitalism versus Socialism, because I'm going to turn my own eventually I'm going to turn my own personal channel into a pro-capitalist, anti-communist channel, right? So I'm going to make communism a target of mine, and I'm going to go after it. I'm given, especially that's my degree, Ali. Like, I make so much content, and I don't make much content relevant to the degrees that I have, right? I have like a finance degree, right? So I'm seeing how communism is making a comeback among young people, and I think like they don't understand what they're supporting. I see a lot of channels out there supporting communism and attacking capitalism. There's not that much content creators focusing on, not far, like every single pro-capitalism content creator I see is pure cringe. Like it's like far right or right leaning, like people that are supporting capitalism from an idealistic, not like facts and data and like economic data. They just have this ideological loyalty to everything that is in their tribe, and they defend it because of tribalism, and they just make defense of capitalism so cringe and religious like. So I just want to make it like something that is more, coming from a defense of capitalism coming from a leftist. You know what I mean?
I think that I think would be fantastic, because like you need things like that. You need like a defense of capitalism coming from the leftist.
Yeah.
You need because what's happening, what's happening right now is just that a lot of it is reactionary. It's like what you were saying about free speech. Every time you hear about a free speech rally, you feel like it's gonna be some insane right wing thing, and 90% of the time you're right. And that doesn't mean, and now, then what do the leftists do? They're like, okay, we really need to rethink free speech. No, you don't. You don't need to rethink free speech. It's just a reactionary thing to this is what the tribalistic sort of loggerheads situation does. So it's So
guys, by the way, I want to warn you about something, because Wondrium has always, like, it used to be called the Great Courses, and it used to be that always they had like university lecturers and university professors and academics teaching. Recently, they're bringing on some wackos to teach some courses. So just make sure that you actually do check the details and do check who is the person that is teaching the course. Okay, so I just want to be honest with you, because I don't want to like endorse every single course in Wondrium, right? But anyways, if you do want to check out Wondrium and take the courses, again, they have science courses, biology, chemistry, history, philosophy, quantum physics, arts, drawing, editing, writing, book publishing, anything you could think of. They have a course for it, and they're expanding their courses really, really fast. So check the affiliate link, guys. Don't listen to this and go check out Wondrium without actually doing the affiliate link. Link is in the description. Check out the affiliate link. It helps us. It really does help us if you use the affiliate link in the description. Ali, what's your recommendation?
My recommendation is going to be, so this is going to be a lot lighter than this, and a lot more, I guess, less intellectually. Well, actually, it might just be equivalent. There's a comedian who's a very, very young man. I think he's 28 years old, just turned 28 a couple of days ago. His name is Pete Davidson. So I've been watching a lot of his stuff, and he's absolutely brilliant. He's really interesting. He's got a very unique style. So a lot of you guys know that I'm a huge stand-up comedy buff, and I've talked about it before here. So, and I've been, I think most of you know him. He's been on Saturday Night Live. He's the one who, You know, when the R. Kelly accusations came out, what R. Kelly was doing, with the kids, he came out and he did this whole segment on Saturday Night Live about, hey, I know people shouldn't be. Isn't listening to R. Kelly a little bit like following the Catholic Church? So he just talked about how we're canceling all these people like R. Kelly and Michael Jackson. So shouldn't we be canceling the Catholic Church? And he joked about it, and it was fantastic. And he pissed off the Catholic Church and a lot of Catholics because of it. He's just a very, very refreshing voice. One of those guys. So I've been rewatching his stand-up specials. He also is a very weird, lanky-looking tall guy. He dated Ariana Grande, and then it was. He jokes about those kinds of things too. His father died in 9/11. He was a firefighter in 9/11, so he makes a lot of jokes about that too, about his father's death. So it's just a very, very genuine, precocious talent, and extremely, extremely smart. So yeah. Ali likes all of Pete Davidson's girlfriend. I can't keep track of Pete Davidson's girlfriends, and I know that recently he was hanging out with Kim Kardashian, but yeah, apparently this guy is like he's a goofy looking guy, but I can see the appeal. I mean, he's dated some really, really high profile people. He's only 28. But I think that's secondary. So
Hi, Mars.
but
Mars
really,
saying,
I'm more about the comedy. The comedy is excellent.
Actually, Mars, you're right. Mars is like, oh shit, they rebranded. Yes, I forgot to mention. Right? Because actually I should tell people that Wondrium is formerly basically the Great Courses rebranded, because I think a lot of people know the Great Courses. They just don't know Wondrium is just the Great Courses. Yes, Mars. Thank you for reminding me to tell people that. Anyways, that was good. Guys, make sure you like this video. Liking the video really does help us grow. And it doesn't cost you anything. So make sure you like the video. Subscribe to this channel. We have a lot of other content coming for you guys. I'm gonna actually.
And if you're listening to this on your podcast app, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever, then just make sure you give us a rating, so that'll help us feature more prominently. And if you like what you hear today, right, then please do consider going to patreon.com/SJME and becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month, and you'll get 5 or 6 live streams every month that you can watch live as they happen. You can engage with, you can ask questions. And if you can't make it for the live session, as you saw in this stream, if you post your questions on our Patreon page under the link for the specific live stream this plan, we will read your questions first. We will answer them first. We will prioritize them. So it is really worth becoming a patron. You get a lot of bang for your buck.
Lois is here. Hi.
Hey, Lois. Long time.
Yeah. Music guy saying thanks for answering our questions. Music guy, you're welcome, music guy. Ghostbane saying you got here too late, but I'm sure it was fun stream. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Yes, Mars saying slap that like button.
Oh man, guys. Assault it. Get in there. Put everything
rub the like button until your screen gets wet.
Yeah, exactly.
Stimulate the like button. Okay. Anyways, all right. Be best, everyone. Bye.
Be best.